Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Loy. I'm a partner with Honeywell Law Firm. We're counsel to the City School District of Albany, New York, and we are here tonight for our reorganizational and regular board meeting for the month of July 2024. We always begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. If individuals would like to join, we can all stand and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And it's tradition here in the City School District of Albany to recite the district mission at the beginning of board meetings. And the district's mission is that we will work in partnership with our diverse community to engage every learner in a robust educational program designed to provide the knowledge and skills necessary for success. At this time, I would like to call a motion to elect me, Paul Loy, as the chair pro tem of this meeting. I see Board Member Smith. All right, all in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. At this time, I would like to administer the oath of office to Board Member-elect Hassan El-Manyawi. So, Mr. El-Manyawi, will you please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name,
Hassan El-Manyawi,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of board member
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of board member
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
for the Albany City School District
for the Albany City School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're sworn. Congratulations. Okay. At this point, we will conduct the election of officers for the 2024-2025 calendar year.
Yes, I am.
Is there a nomination for president of the Board of Education? Yes, Board Member Mann.
Good evening. I would like to nominate my colleague, Dr. Sridhar Shatur, for the position of president of the board.
Okay, Dr. Schroeder, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Okay. All in favor of electing Dr. Schroeder as the, president of the Board of Education for the 2024-2025 calendar year? Okay, it looks like we're unanimous with Dr. Shatur obviously abstaining. And Dr. Shatur, I would like to administer the oath for you as board president. If you would please stand and raise your right hand. I, state your name,
Dr. Sridhar Shatur,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the President of the Board of Education
the duties of the President of the Board of Education
for the Albany City School District
for the Albany City School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations. I'm now going to cede my position as the pro chair tem of the meeting and turn the board meeting over to President Shatur.
We need to elect the position of Vice President. May I have a nomination for Vice President? Ms. Savage.
I'd like to nominate Board Member Wilson as Vice President.
Ms. Wilson, will you accept the nomination?
Yes.
All in favor? That's unanimous. Ms. Wilson, can you stand up and raise your right hand? And repeat after me. I, your name,
I, Tabitha Wilson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the Vice President
the duties of the Vice President
of the Board of Education
for the Board of Education
for the Albany City School District
for the Albany City School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we need to elect the Secretary of the Board. We have a nomination for Secretary. Mr. Almaniavi.
I move to nominate Member Krejci for
Okay.
Secretary of the Board.
Are there any other nominations? All in favor?
I accept the nomination.
Oh, sorry about that. All in favor? That's everyone except. I'm sorry. Any opposed? Okay. Ms. Smith is opposed. Ms. Mann, are you opposed too? Okay, so we have two oppositions, Ms. Mann and Ms. Smith. All in favor? That's okay. Sorry. So that's five people for and two opposed. Congratulations. Ms. Krejci, can you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name.
I, Ellen Krejci,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of
and the Constitution of
the State of New York,
the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
the Secretary of the Board of Education
the duties of the Secretary of the Board of Education
for the Albany City School District
for the Albany City School District
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. The next thing on our agenda is board member statements. Each board member is allotted 3 minutes. May you start at that end of the table. Ms. Mann.
Good evening. Education is a basic human right, and our ability in the United States to have a strong public education system is second to none. And my goal over this term is to ensure that I do everything to support the education initiatives and the success of our students and our teachers, and support our teachers as they teach our children. And so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Wilson.
Good evening, everyone. I did not have the opportunity to prepare something, so this would probably be one of my more candid board statements, but it's coming from the heart. I love where Damaris, my fellow board colleague, went with the education as a human right, because I totally concede with that. Although it may not be written explicitly in the Constitution, just like housing is a human right and you have the right to life, liberty, I do feel education is a human right. And many aspects of history and things that have happened, politically and things over the years have created systems of inequity in education nationally, if not internationally, but even locally. We're dealing with the historical fallout of things like redlining or for that matter, just the attitude that our students receive externally about the perception of them and the way people perceive public schools. Having been on the board now going into the end of a second term, I still feel as committed. I will not shy away from that. It has gone increasingly harder. I think when I started, I was a single lady, and now I have 2 children, a mortgage, none of these, so life has evolved, but I still feel as committed, and I appreciate everyone in our district. As far as being an attendee or a parent, teachers, staff, everyone. I do feel that our work as a board is only getting better as far as the things where we've come from. We have done a lot to address the things that people have said, perceptions, or outright things that people have wanted to change. And if things that are not at where they should be or where you feel that we are not taking to, we are always open and receptive and ready to listen and ready and willing to work with you to get it to where we should be and where we're aspiring to be. We are, of course, a work in process. I do want to convey, and I do feel that people need more, and I want to emphasize more people's understanding of what the board does versus what the district can do for you. Our chief responsibilities are budget and, of course, interacting with our superintendent. Not to say that all those other things that arise and that come across as, we certainly do confront them. So, of course, we will continue emphasizing, of course, our grading system, shared decision-making, what happens when there's crises, because there are ongoing things that happen in every school system, our short-term and our long-term goals. And, I seek to personally hope to meet with every principal and every staff member I can, visit every school that I can in the upcoming year, and just continue to have that sort of face-to-face conversation about what's going well, what's not going well, with the intent of improvement. I know that things I'm proud of course, are our maintenance evolution over time, our facilities over time, which I do want to point to the leadership of Ann Savage and Vicki Smith in steering us through the Albany High project. That's still ongoing. And we appreciate you, and incoming staff, the current staff, we appreciate you. And we look to, of course, continue to work with everyone on our organizational culture and climate for people to feel supported, and also, more importantly, for anyone to feel that they can raise their concerns. I can only imagine why people take, things that may occur in the school system to Facebook, but you are more than welcome to send them to us. We have an email, and we can route you where you need to be and how things could be resolved. And of course, we're going to proceed with our district priorities. We do have new leadership who I'm happy to work with, our superintendent, Hochreiter. And, this is a new relationship, and as we're going into a new school year, we will come forth with our district priorities, our district goals, our board priorities. And then lastly, I'll say that, school systems are very interesting because there's a long, cemented sort of process, and hats off to everyone that gets our school open every day and gets our children home safely every day. And I do have aspirational goals. The kids call it let's not be trash. Let's not be transphobic. Let's not be racist. Let's not be ableist. Let's not be sexist. Let's not be homophobic, and beyond. And I really do hope that and I'm proud of the things we've done from a policy standpoint as a board, and I hope we can continue to sort of have an expanded view on what punitive measures are, what grit is, what attendance is, and I know that we want the world to catch up with our aspirations. So, in short, I was speaking from the heart, and I appreciate you all, and I do look forward to the upcoming school year. And lastly, I want to say I have compliments for every single one of my board colleagues. I appreciate working with you. I know people think it's we're kumbaya, but we're not. We don't see eye to eye. We fight things out, and we argue, but we still work for the good of the district and as a united front for the district. So in closing, thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Wilson. Member Savage.
So as I was thinking about what I was going to say tonight and what I think the key focus needs to be for the 24-25 school year, I was reminded that we asked our community about this just at the beginning of 2023. We asked people to tell us their thoughts as part of the superintendent search process about what are the district's strengths and what are our areas that are very much in need of improvement. And we heard back from literally hundreds of people through surveys and focus groups. And that is the most complete public involvement we've had in the last couple of years. And I look back on the results of that pretty regularly. And I think it's important to reflect on that because it is what we heard from our community, and I think we should always keep those ideas alive. And there were really 4 themes that emerged from that process, and I think we've made reasonable progress on addressing those themes, but there is still a lot more work to do. And so I encourage all of us who are operating in our district in positions of leadership to keep these themes in mind. And I'm going to go through them because they are really, I think, critical to our success. Also, they're echoed in what I've just heard from my board colleagues, which is reassuring because it does mean that while we do duke things out sometimes, we also all have the same basic gist of how we're approaching things. First, we heard from our community that we need to work on building a collaborative and positive culture with a focus on trusting relationships. That's between all the members of our community, from students to families to staff to teachers to board members and cabinet superintendent. Trusting and positive culture is really the first theme that emerged. The second theme that emerged was our commitment to doubling down on equity, by which we mean improving access and success for each and every student, regardless of what their background is, by figuring out what the barriers are that are preventing them from succeeding and actively working to break those barriers down. It's not a passive kind of equity, it's an active kind of equity. Third, people said very clearly that we need to work on our operational systems. That includes all of the nuts and bolts that make our district run. Everything from human resources to the business office to maintenance of facilities to information technology, communications, transportation, all those things that are not teaching and learning but make the teaching and learning possible. Many of you have heard me use the metaphor about the fact that when those things don't work, it creates friction in our system. It's like throwing sand in the gears of the system when those operational things don't work. And we've been working very hard on improving those things, but we need to continue to seek excellence in our operational systems because that's what's needed to make teaching and learning happen. And finally, community members spoke with one voice that our students deserve the very best possible instruction based on current research and pedagogy and a commitment to excellence. And I want to reflect that what ties all of that together is that very first theme, building a collaborative and positive culture. I really encourage everyone who's in any position of leadership in this district, from the board to the superintendent, cabinet, building leaders, department leaders, to continue to research and reflect on what it takes to build a positive organizational culture. That's the most important thing we can do. All the other things come from that. And to me, and from what I understand, what the research shows, is that that means a culture in which people feel safe and empowered to take risks, to share concerns, to look for solutions, all in the interest of serving our students. And again, I'm no expert in this area, but my research suggests that the most effective way to build positive culture is to ensure that we are creating real and meaningful opportunities for authentic input from the people who are most impacted by every decision. And if we can do that better, we can make change faster. I know that we have exceptional employees and incredible students in Albany. Everyone who is in our buildings every day are some of the best people anywhere in the world. So creating a culture that lets their excellence shine is by far the most important thing that we can do. And I also want to take 1 minute to acknowledge the new officers and thank them for their service. I have been an officer on this board and been on this board for a really long time, and I am kind of looking forward to not being an officer, but I am also want to recognize that that work has been some of the most rewarding and most challenging work I've done in any environment. So I thank you for taking this on, all 3 of you, and I wish you the very best and offer you my continued support as you take on this new leadership role. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ann. Board Member Smith.
Thank you. I first want to say it has been I've been on this board, how long have you been on?
I think you're like 9 years.
Maybe one more, yeah, so maybe 9 years, and that's a very long time. I think I've been an officer for most of that. In fact, I think even my first year, I think at some point I was serving as an officer. And I have enjoyed that opportunity and working with my colleagues in that way. I am in my last year of my term. I do not plan to run after I complete this year. And I don't want to use the word plan. I will not be running. Let me be very clear about that. And so I am very happy, however, that I'm continuing in my last year, and some of the things that I would like to see really the board focus on. My colleagues have talked about it an awful lot, and a lot of it's big and massive. I'm trying to now focus on things that may be more within our control a little bit as a governing body. And the first thing would be, again, in the area of promoting inclusivity and diversity. And I know that we're working with our superintendent and staff to make sure that we do have a more diverse staff and faculty, but as well, it's on us to ensure that we have a board that continues to reflect the community that we're serving. And with that comes also an obligation, I think, as Ms. Savage said, to hear and understand where we're all coming from, because we all come from very different places. And I know for me, having been born in the South and have grown up there, when I speak, when I talk, I'm coming from a very different place than many of you who have grown up here in the North. My experiences are very different. My language can be very different. I have adjusted that, so you will not hear me speak with a twang unless I'm around my family. And so, but that is something I think is where we need to be in the world. When you look at where we're heading, where we are as a country, we've got beautiful reflected cultures and languages and experiences, and for some god-awful reason, we're hating each other. And that isn't right. It isn't how I was raised, and I want to make sure that we can prevent that. And I think that also means right here amongst us sitting on this board. And so I'm asking our colleagues to think hard and critically about how we reflect on each other, how we talk with one another. And when we are, the more diverse we are, the more, I won't say clashes, but interactions that we might have that are going to be different and not always accepted or understood directly. So that's a big one. I also obviously agree with my colleagues around enhancing academic excellence. I want to make sure that we are supporting our teachers. Think that we have continued to say as a board that we're not trying to have you or propose new initiatives. We really want you to focus on your jobs and helping support students where they are to get them to the most successful places that they can be, and to continue to foster that culture of continuous learning and growth. When I first ran, my little slogan was compassionate leadership for passionate learning, and I still live by that, and that's where I want to see our students eventually, hope more often that more of them get there. And we have to create those environments for them, including, then my third piece of that is strengthening community engagement. We talk about that a lot here amongst the board, and we do have involvement and connections individually, but we haven't been able to really take some of the steps that that maybe we would like to really make sure that community is a part of this educational system, not just as parents, but as thought partners. And I think we'll have to figure out how to do that if that's something that is indeed possible. Fostering student well-being. Here I'd like to say that prioritizing the mental health and well-being of students is so important. And again, particularly in a society in which we're living now that is stressing everyone out to the max. And sometimes we don't even know why or how we're stressed. But it is incredibly stressful, and the next 6, 8 months, 10 months are going to be just that, increasingly so. And it will be a distracting in terms of the work that we have to do. And so I would like there to also call upon our community. You know, so many of our school district takes on so much of this human services work. It is necessary, it is critical, but that is a huge, huge department. And I look around and I go, but where's the money, where's the support that allows some of that support to be for our families? I think that something's missing here. And so I hope that we can also fight for more community strategies and support in that way. I know I need to be short here, but I also wanted to say, I hope, again, not new initiatives, but really taking on something that is long overdue, and we've all talked about this, even on our facilities committee, and that's exploring ways to make the school environment, more environmentally friendly by implementing sustainable initiatives. And we have some of that. We have some recycling, energy saving, but also we have to help embrace a culture where, you know, hey, we're throwing paper. You go to a building, Giffen or the high school, and every morning our staff spends a lot of time cleaning up around the school, after school, cleaning up after school. We have to help instill a sense of ownership in our youngsters and in anyone who interacts in our community. And we have to take care of our environment. Professional development, we've talked a lot about this board engaging in some deeper, thoughtful, purposeful training. One that relates to what I spoke about at the first beginning, inclusivity, and I'm not getting that word off my tongue this evening, and diversity, but there's a deeper dive, and I think it's incumbent upon us as a board, and I certainly am seeing some of that in our district where our staff are engaging and taking a deeper dive. It's great that I feel accepted to a degree, but my culture, who I am, I'm trying to get that understood and embraced, and that's what our students are asking for. Also enhancing technology, I won't go too far with that, but we've got a great department and they're investigating AI. Don't want us to be afraid to take on those initiatives or that thinking. The kids are already ahead of us and we've got to catch up. And again, lastly, but not least of all, always celebrating our achievements. A lot of times folks see us celebrating, and I'm so happy that the communications department and others are getting getting our students here so we can celebrate them, honor them, our faculty here so we can celebrate and honor them. And we're trying to get more involved and out in our schools so that we can actually see that and express that as a board to our schools. So all of these things are things that I will continue to work on. I will not promise that, you know, I can do much more than what I have been doing, but I'm going to do my best, as always, to be a good board member. And I believe that I have provided strong leadership over the course of these 2 years, and I must add that the 2 years have been unlike any other in the sense that having a superintendent leave, having an interim, in addition having levels of staff that are departing and new staff coming in, and finally, you know, here we are in the year of our new superintendent, a first full year, and so that has been very busy and challenging, and it has really, I don't like to think that I've failed at anything, but I didn't get to accomplish or achieve as much as I wanted to as a leader. That does not change the fact that I can provide and will provide that leadership, officer or no. It is who I am. And so I want to thank my board colleagues. I want to also thank the community. Folks have been writing, and I do respond to all their letters. You can still do that. I will do my best, but I have to transfer that to the board president, who will then take on that responsibility. But I have learned a lot from community, just engaging with both parents and families, listening to your concerns, responding on behalf of the board, and so I want to thank you for that. And one more piece that I just want to emphasize, and I can't really decide where this fits except in the student engagement piece and also academic excellence. A couple of our students, seniors, graduating seniors, wrote to the board about, and it may have been part of their civics course, I'm not sure, but a couple of letters came in saying, hey, why don't we have students represented on our board? And the fact is we have had student representation at different points when I first started on the board, and I think maybe through 2017, but it is challenging. Our students are very busy, have very active lives, as they should, and so along with those letters, and also the fact that the state legislature, and I think the governor actually, I don't think they've moved to require it. I think they took requirement out, but they are encouraging student engagement on the boards of education locally. And some of the students that wrote to us talked about, hey, you know, we want to also make that really engaging. And how about let's also talk about how we involve students from elementary on through high school. So that is going to look very different perhaps than when we had it before, where students were here, but they were presenting basically from their point of view. I don't know that it reflected a whole student body, but there are lots of things to help support students in taking on that leadership, and particularly now that we have student councils, equity leadership teams. It's very exciting to see that happening at our school. And so anyway, I, again, just want to thank my colleagues. There are lots of things that I hope that we can do differently, even how we may run our meetings, and to really focus on some of the work that we could be doing stronger and taking leadership in as a board. So again, thank you, and thank you, community.
Thank you, Member Smith. Member Al-Manyawi.
I also don't really have a prepared statement. However, I have been thinking about what my colleagues have said, and essentially been contemplating why I'm here and how I got here. So it's kind of an amazing story. I am, and like understanding why I am the way I am in terms of why I insist on certain things and why I'm willing to bend and be loose with others is that, I mean, frankly, I come from a very big family. I have, there are 10 people who are alive that I'm immediately related to. I have 7 siblings and 2 living parents, and every single day is a struggle. Every single day is a struggle. We are all very different, and you know, somehow I landed in the middle of that structure, like age-wise and, you know, birth order-wise, and I have always felt like I'm the glue in so many ways. Like I, you know, try to stretch my arms around that unit and maintain it. And I've done that a lot here. I've voted for things that, you know, I maybe didn't necessarily think were the, you know, the top priority, because I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we were a team and that I was fair, and I was, you know, satisfied with where we are, and in terms of not creating, you know, animosity with each other. So essentially, what I look at, when I look at, you know, the remaining amount of time I've got on this term, which is the most amount of time I'm going to have going forward. I've got 4 years left, and I plan on using that time to really not make the easy decisions and not run away from difficult, not make easy choices. So not go with the things that are the easy route out, but also start challenging us and administration about how we do things, why we do things that way. I know that we have a perception problem in this district, and we do a tremendous amount of work, and there are plenty of achievements, and we need to celebrate those achievements, but we also need to say, hey, you know, when something has not gone right, we need to stop, and we need to say, hey, this didn't go down as well as we expected, and we need to acknowledge it. And I think that's a part of being trustworthy with the community, is that we admit when we've done something, you know, not to the best of our ability, or that we've gone the easy route. So I do intend on progressively expecting this district to do those things that are hard but worth it. And, you know, just to put this into perspective, so while I was collecting signatures this year, I ran into a lot of our students, and it's kind of, it's really important to do that every 4 years, because you get out and you actually see who you're representing, and you get to chat with them and discuss things with them and explain what you do. And one of the things that I will always remember is going to the mosque in the last couple months, and, you know, kids coming up to me and really asking me what you do, like, there, and why do you do it, and like, oh, is that why we got this day off? And like, it's fascinating to see that there's this community that I'm a part of that is normally not involved politically, or has not been involved politically, is starting to perk up and say, hey, we need representation. So I'm honored to be able to represent parts of our community like that, and also accept that I got elected in like a non-compete format. So essentially, like, it gives me some confidence that I'm doing the right thing and that I'm gonna continue to do the right thing, but it also makes me want to make sure that this board is filled with people that really care, and it's harder and harder to find those folks. So one of my goals here is that over the next 4 years, I also intend on really reaching out to our community and trying to get people involved in the district in any capacity that they can, whether they're parents, you know, how they can be more involved in their schools, or if they want to be involved through the board or finding a job. Like, we really need to build up our community, and I really hope to do that. Lastly, just on the topic of leadership, you know, again, I'm self-reflecting. Like, I've been on the board for 5 years now, and I think part of being a good leader is, once again, making it known that where your boundaries are, and standing by those boundaries, and being able to maintain that individual voice, because we are 7 individuals, and though we don't necessarily we agree a lot, it's probably best that we make our voices heard that when we don't agree, and as long as we're, you know, respectful and cordial and doing what is best for the district. So I'm probably way beyond my time. Again, I started rambling, but thank you very much, and I hope I have a great 4 years, and we all have a great 4 years.
Thank you, Member Albany. Ms. Krejci?
Yes. Well, thank you to my colleagues, and thank you to the public for giving me the opportunity to speak. This will be my 10th year on the board, and there's been certainly a lot of change and a lot of growth in our schools, in our community. We've seen so many things happen. It's been a journey that's been different than any I could have expected. It's been, serving as a board member has been an enormous responsibility. It's also been very rewarding. I describe it as perhaps the single most meaningful educational experience of a lifetime. It's really taught me about leadership, about collaboration, about compromise, about communication. Taught me so many things, and I've learned so much from both my present and former colleagues on the board. we've had so many different people, different perspectives in leadership, and it's really been one of the biggest rewards of being a board member is being able to interact with people that I wouldn't normally interact. You know, different people from all different walks of life, all different schools, all different ages. It's been an enormous, enormous privilege to be able to serve. I'm looking forward to, as I transition into the Board of Officers leadership, and to continuing to work collaboratively with the other officers and with the board members as a whole to continue the growth trajectory we're on. As we've gone over the past 10 years, we've changed superintendents, we've changed cabinet members. When we look at the demographics of our teachers and our leaders and our cabinet members, we know we will have more people retiring in the near future, and we'll be looking to bring on new leaders. So we always have to look at that both in our district staff and as board members, look at creating leadership ladders so that we can train new leaders and bring on new leaders to always have that level of consistent leadership. It's also important as a board that we serve as role models to our students to demonstrate what good leadership, collaboration, and cooperation look like. We've had some real improvements in our climate and culture in our schools, and yet just in the past week we've had some really scary and violent shootings in the community. So it's always, our district has been working really hard over the past year to create a better culture in the schools where the violence is not coming in and being expressed there. But I know in the year ahead that will be something that's going to be really important, to have people find a way to live in community with each other without resorting to violence to settle our differences. And so we can serve as role models, expressing that collaboration, cooperation, and communication in that open environment, so that we can work together for a better community. I spoke at the Myers graduation a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about to the students that it's not just, education, as one of my board members says, is an enormous right, but it's also a responsibility. We need our students as they grow up to be members of good citizens, to be members of the community, and to promote a better world. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Krejci. There's not much to add based on all my fellow members' reflections. First and foremost, I want to thank Ms. Smith and Ms. Savage for all their service that they have put together on this board and the leadership. We've gone through lots of situations, uncharted territories. We survived the pandemic, and we worked things through. So, and it was under your leadership. So thank you so much. And as Member Krejci mentioned, we all bring different talents to the board. Each of us, all 7 members of us, were elected by the public because they've found something in us that they were willing to put their trust in to steer the ship. And I hope that we can keep that trust. Yeah, there will be missteps. People make mistakes. It's okay, as long as we accept them and fix those mistakes and still keep working. This is hard work. Our kids deserve this, right? We all got into this not for us, not for you, but for those children. Each one of them is our child. Each one of them has potential. All the staff in our district have potential. All the administrators have potential. And if we can better each one of us, including ourselves, right? It starts with us. I mean, we have to be better people. If we can do that, then we can move this whole community forward in the positive direction. And there'll be challenges. If you think if you solve those challenges, there'll be new ones, right? But we should not be afraid of those challenges, because we can do amazing things. We can send our music across the pond, right? Our school was the only school that went across the pond to France, not once, but twice, to participate in those parades. It's unfortunate that this year the parade couldn't happen, but our kids still made it there. They faced challenges coming back from there, but they survived. The rest of the world heard about us. No other school district can say that. that's what the Falcons did. Our kids have gone to state competitions, national competitions, whether it be sports, arts, you name it, the mock trial. You name all of these things, different arenas. Our CTE program. Our kids went to the national championship for CTE program. We have so many things that we offer as opportunities to our students at the high school. But one thing I think we don't do a good job of is communicating those opportunities to those kids. I don't think it's enough for a 9th grader to come to the high school and find out about these opportunities. These kids, all our kids have potential. They had that potential starting in kindergarten, right? And it's that teachers, staff member who recognize the potential, encourage those kids, made them successful throughout those middle school, elementary and middle school years till they came to the high school and started shining. And so let's do more of that. Let's bring these programs and trickle them down to the elementary and the middle school kids. Show them more of what CTE is. What are these alternative career pathways? Hell, our middle school kids are one of those few school districts that have been able to send experiments to space. Not every other district can say that, right? So we have lots of things that we can celebrate and lots of opportunities that we can create, opportunities that exist that we don't all hear about, and some more new ones that we can create. I feel incredibly blessed living in Albany. Yes, we have violence. Yes, we have poverty. Yes, we have all these different things. But you know what? When the time comes, our community steps up. Our community fills in, helps each other, and tries to lift each other up. And I think we can do even more. The times are different. Everybody, we talk about hate and we talk about lots of things which have changed. I mean, the childhood that these kids face are not the childhood that I grew up in, right? And so that's okay. Change is okay, and we can adapt to it. The kids adapted to COVID. We can certainly adapt to change and make the world a better place than it was yesterday, right? So we can try. All we can do is try, put our best foot forward and do our best effort in doing it. Even if you're halfway, then we are 2 steps further than where we were, right? So I hope that we can all work collaboratively with the community. We've talked about student voice a lot. I was just at one of the 4th of July celebrations. I was talking to a middle school student who was telling me about issues at their high school. I said, "Do you know there's a student government in your middle school? Have you oh no." So there you go. So we need to show these kids that these opportunities exist currently, that they can go join student government, bring their voices to the table, raise it up the chain, and then bring it together to the board, to the community, because they can make change. These kids are the drivers of change. Now we'll be long gone, but they're our future. So let's empower them to speak up for the right things and do the right things. So I'm hoping that this year we will do more. We will have more reasons to celebrate. And I hope that we can engage the community even more than we have in the past. We've talked about community engagement. In the pre-COVID days, we used to go to the events and talk to people. I'm hoping we can do more of those things, where we can actually reach out in the community instead of expecting the community to come to this room, right? And we have certainly over the years increased more opportunities where people can write to us, do a video comment. We can do there's voicemail comment. All of these things that didn't exist, we are using technology to make them available to people to communicate with us. So please do tell us when we are doing it right. Tell us when we are doing it wrong, because 7 people. Yeah, we're only 7 people, right? So you are also engaged in this thing. It's all of us that makes this enterprise work. So I'm hoping that there'll be more community engagement, and looking forward to working with each one of my board members for the upcoming year. Thank you. So next item on our agenda is action appointment designations. We have a few positions that we need to appoint. Should we do them all at once? Okay. May I have a motion to accept item number 3, Ms. Smith, seconded by Ms. Krejci. All in favor? So that's unanimous. Okay. The next item is the superintendent's report. Do we have district highlights?
We have a number of highlights in our update and some recognition, because we had so many folks to recognize, we had to stretch them into July. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Lesko to walk us through.
Good evening, thank you. Because there were so many great things happening in the City School District of Albany during the spring, we are kicking off our board celebrations for the 2024-25 school year with recognition of 2 outstanding achievements from the recently concluded school year. We begin tonight with our Albany Marching Falcons, who had the great honor of representing not just our school district, but also our state and the nation last month in France for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. It is our pleasure to introduce Band Director Brian Cady to tell us more about this amazing experience.
Thank you, Mr. Lesko. With me is Masami Surisawa. He is a graduating senior. He's actually here tonight for tennis recognition, but he has also been in the Albany Marching Falcons since, I think, 5th grade. I may have even gotten him in at 4th because he was that good. So, but it seems like a very long time regardless. Literally, well, my left-hand man for most of his marching band career, because he's in the front on the left-hand side, and I tend to be right next to him the whole time, for better or for worse. France was an amazing opportunity for our students and our school district, but I really want to recognize that this was a community effort spearheaded by our parents, our school district, and our community support. We brought 50 students with us to France. Some of those students came to the table being able to afford very little towards the cost of the trip. Some only, families, being able to pledge like $150. We had plenty of families that could actually pledge to pay for the whole thing. And the cost of the trip was slightly over $4,000 a person. France is the most expensive country to travel to in the European Union, but it created a monumental fundraising campaign for our community. And as many of you have mentioned in your comments this evening, our community stepped up. So I think the grand total, when all was said and done, was close to $115,000 in almost 7 months of effort. A lot of that came from people just sending in checks. They heard about us on the news or the newspaper stories, et cetera. District connections with different vendors that the school district uses, private people in the area that, fortunately have some deep pockets that could contribute to our efforts. Also want to recognize, the Falcon leadership, my assistant director, Leah Miller, Mark Sanford, and Juliet Joswiak for their time and efforts in making the trip happen. Susan Pato with the Albany County Legislation invited the band to be recognized at a legislator meeting, which certainly gained us some attention, as did Pat Fahey's invitation to be recognized on the floor of the New York State Assembly. Of course, the tour concluded with an amazing recognition by Congressman Paul Tonko on the floor of the Capitol, which I believe, I don't know if it's a first for the City School District of Albany, but certainly a first for any musical group to be mentioned and recorded in the annals of history on the Capitol floor. So that was a huge kudos to the group and to their efforts and their contributions to the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings. While in France, our students performed, again, in the 80th commemoration. They played at at the site of the Battle of Falaise. Falaise was the defining sort of battle of the Battle of Normandy. It was a very special occasion this time around because Falaise is not on the coast. And most of the D-Day celebrations and commemorations happen at Omaha Beach and Utah Beach, et cetera. And Falaise is not on the coast. It's inland. So because the French government basically shut down the coast of Normandy on June 6th because of all the dignitaries and, our president and French president and so on and so forth. The town of Falaise got their moment in the sun, and we were part of that. part of that history. And we shared the stage with the Florida State Marching Band, which was about 5 or 6 times the size of ours, but we held our own, for sure. I'll ask Masami to send this around. This medal was presented to me for our contribution, and what you'll see on it is it's all the insignias of all the different divisions that fought in the Battle of Falaise in France, and it was especially made for the performance and to commemorate the event, and it was my honor to receive that as the director. Following our performances at Falaise, we had an amazing opportunity to perform in the American Cemetery in Normandy. And I told all the kids, I was like, when you're there, you're going to feel it. The solemnness of that space, performing with a background of white crosses and Stars of David, etc. To play in that space and to be part of that moment was awe-inspiring. And the students, did themselves, their directors, their district, their state, and their country very proud at every performance. As you all have heard, upon leaving the cemetery, we ran into a little bit of a hiccup. And our President Biden decided to come back to the cemetery unexpectedly. And the French government shut the cemetery down for about 4 hours. President Biden arrived about 3.5 hours into that shutdown. So they had kind of preemptively shut it down. Nobody was going in, nobody was going out. Our kids did great. That was probably, for me, one of the more stressful things, because I got 50 kids with nothing to do. But they played soccer, and they, walked around a little bit. We had no issues whatsoever. They entertained themselves very, very well. About 3.5 hours into it, President Biden arrived. They put him in a secure location, and then it was a very quick half hour. You have a half hour to get out of the cemetery. So, literally, people are running to the buses and to the cars. And we got our 2 buses out. We are on the way to Omaha Beach for the parade, which had already been postponed twice at that time, only to get to Omaha Beach and look around and say, hey, where's the equipment truck? And all of our instruments got stuck in the cemetery when they closed it back down again. But, what a lot of people might view as sort of a disaster in terms of our parade actually turned into, for me, one of the most moving parts, which was planned regardless of the parade. But our students brought with them photos, either personal photos, family photos, or photos of our community of men who served in World War II. And we did a ceremony at the World War II Memorial on Omaha Beach, where the kids held up the photos, and I read a biography of each man that was represented there. And so we brought them back to France one more time and recognized them for their service and their heroism and their contributions to our country. And, we call them the greatest generation for a reason. And that's an incredibly important thing and an honor for me, too, because it's not just music, folks. Because we're connecting our students with history, past, present, and, for them, future. So amazing celebration on Omaha Beach. Our France performances concluded with a performance in the Montmartre district of Paris for a very large crowd. It had the potential of being a washout, but I very sternly had a conversation with someone that, very near and dear to my heart, the man or woman, depending on your belief system upstairs, and said, I did not order rain for this performance. And the sun came out and the skies cleared and we performed. So it was amazing and perfect timing on that trip. I'll conclude with saying that the Marching Falcons is, again, speaking to what all of you talked about, in just a few moments ago. I think it's the most unique program in the entirety of the City School District of Albany, because we cross over schools and we cross over age groups. It's a 6 through 12, in some cases 5 through 12, occasionally 4 through 12 marching band program. And one of the biggest compliments that has been paid to me in my tenure as the director is when parents can come up to me and say, you know, my 7th grader and my 6th grader has learned so much by being in this group because they're performing next to seniors. You know, Masami next to me, he's an amazing trombonist. He's a wind ensemble player, and, you know, very patiently, you know, works with the 6th grade and 7th grade trombone players and took them under his wing and gave them pointers and was there as a mentor. You know, I'm not sure that was part of his plan, but he stepped into that role perfectly. And, you know, the kids show up every week. You know, we're a year-round program, and most of our students are performing for our community and representing our school district on days when everybody else is having a day off and they're in bed or sleeping in late, and we're going out to a parade on school holidays. Even the Memorial Day break, we performed 3 times during that 5-day vacation that we had. And the kids show up, and they keep showing up. That's a testament to the program. It's a testament to their commitment. As much as they, you know, frankly drive me crazy, I've enjoyed being their director, and it's been an experience that I will never forget. And every moment comes with a lot of pride. So thank you for your support and for the recognition. Not sure if Masami wants to say anything. I've been jibber jabbering here.
Sure. The only thing I want to say is I think it's very funny. I find it very funny to look back on when the first time this band went to France 5 years ago, and to compare it to where I am now. 5 years ago, I was in 7th grade, and I went and I looked around. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in France. This is so cool. And all of the importance of why we were there went right over my head. I reveled in the experience, and I got nothing else out of it. And now, 5 years later, I'm graduating high school, heading to college in the fall. I'm so much better as a player than what I was 5 years ago.
It's true.
Thank you. Being there, hearing the stories, and feeling all of the feelings that are there to feel when performing for such an important occasion, it's so much nicer. It means so much more to me, and I can't wait for the younger kids who went this time. If they ever do go again, I don't know if they will, but if for any reason they ever find themselves back there, I look forward to them feeling the same wonder that I did this year when we went, because there's no feeling like it, and it's irreplaceable, and everyone deserves to be able to feel how I felt standing in the cemetery or on Omaha Beach, even if we didn't get to play, and it's wonderful. Thank you.
I don't know how many of you know, Mr. Brady has a DeLorean time machine at home, and you know it's from Back to the Future, and no wonder he transported all these kids back to the future. You know, show them a piece of history. And Masami, you've been to France twice, and you're a great tennis player, so I'm looking forward to seeing you at the French Open.
There it is. Perfect. I'll also add one last thing. The performance at Falaise, you know, the band, when we do a parade, we play for, you know, I always tell the kids, this is the biggest audience you'll ever play for. And it's true. Bigger than our school concerts, but our audience, of course, is spread out over an entire parade route. The Battle of Falaise, for me, as a director, was the largest audience that we've ever played for. There was an estimated over 2,500 people in attendance for that concert. And I don't have a memory of ever playing for a group that big, so it was amazing. Thank you.
Before we take the pictures and jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, I just wanted to touch on the very public portion of their return trip home that was covered in the paper, and I just wanted to let everyone know that Air France ultimately covered that difference. So that part of the trip that wasn't a highlight necessarily did work out well. And also prior to that, First Student, our yellow bus provider, donated $4,000 that would have covered that had that had Air France not stepped up and done what was right. So I just wanted to note those two pieces of their return trip, which were very public.
And one more, while we're talking finances, at 6:37 p.m. Tonight, I received a text message that we received some belated donations to the band. So your overall number increased by about another $2,500. So, you know.
All right, well, that took a little bit of the surprise out of this one, but our next guest hopped on a plane with his bandmates to France just 3 days after wrapping up the most successful tennis career in Albany High School history. Masami Suwasawa captured his second straight Section 2 singles title this spring, advancing to the state tournament in New York City for the third year in a row. It is our pleasure to introduce Albany High tennis coach Anthony Omaragbon to tell us more about Masami's success.
Hey, I'm gonna let Masami do most of the talking. I just want to say so many great things about Masami. Go on and on and on. Coaching him since 7th grade, like Mr. Lesko said, he's been down to the state tournament 3 years in a row. 2-time Section 2 champion, probably one of the top tennis players in New York State, not just one of the best players at Albany High, one of the top players in New York State. I know he's real modest, but the reason he's here representing Albany High tennis and the Albany Marching Falcons is one of the reasons he was so successful. The discipline he showed this year was off the charts. Played at some of the highest levels in some of the biggest moments, ups and downs through his high school career, but this year was probably his best career, or his best year. In the beginning of the season, me and him sat down, he wrote some goals out. I didn't tell him to write these goals. He chose what these goals were, and he checked them off moment by moment, match by match, as the season progressed. And he had one of the best seasons in Albany High history. I don't know the history of Albany High before the early 2000s, but I got to assume he's one of the greatest players to come out of Section 2, not just Albany High. And usually in the sport of tennis, when you're on the court, you're on your own. You're out there. There's nobody else. Sometimes players look to the coaching box, but the coaches can't do anything. He takes all the swings. He puts in all the time, makes it look effortless, but he puts in the hard work. all the time leading up to those matches. So when he does play the match, he can take the mic, grab the racket, and just shine. The world is yours, my man.
I've been playing tennis since I was 3 years old. I first started playing tennis. I was 3 years old, and I never. The reason I started playing, I never set out to become some genius, some like incredible tennis player that people will talk about for years to come. That's not why. I started playing because I thought it was fun, and I started playing because I wanted to be really good at something, and I didn't know what that something was. And tennis just seemed at the time like something that I could do, and something that I could do pretty well. I picked up a racket, I started playing, and 15 years later, I've been to states 3 times, 3 years in a row. I've won the section championship twice in a row, and I don't. It's hard to put the feeling into words. It's hard to say, because nobody's done it before. You go and you look, and there's one other person from Section 2 that's gone back to back, and he played for Albany Academy in like 2008 and 2009. It's just so surreal to me that my name goes down twice in a row. I don't know what to say about it. I have nothing to say about it. I am eternally grateful to the people who allowed me to make it happen. My parents, obviously, they kept me going. They took me they around the United States of America so that I could play tennis at the highest levels for my age, and they spent all the money so that I could be successful, and I don't thank them enough. I barely ever thank them, really, but thank you so much for all that you've done for me, that all you will continue to do for me. Thank you so much for all your support. I love you. To my coach, Coach Omar Agban, I've known him for 4 years, a short 4 years at that, and in that 4 years, he's taken me from this little ball of energy and emotion that was kind of good at tennis and he's molded me, he's created me, he's turned me into a tennis player, a person who plays tennis first, feels the emotion second, but is there to win. That's on him. And I did a lot of the work, but he doesn't take enough credit for helping me in the way that he helped me. There's no way I could have been me and been sitting here having gone back to back at the Section 2 championship without him. So thank you so much. And to all the other leaders, authority figures in my life, my teachers, my private coaches, everyone has put a little bit of that into me, and it shows, it reflects the way I act and the way I speak and how I carry myself. That's the influence of all these different people that have supported me and guided me throughout my life, and I will also be eternally grateful to them. So not all of them are here tonight, a few of them are, but to everyone, every single person that's ever helped me, ever taught me, ever mentored me, ever done anything for me, thank you so much. Tennis is so individual. There's really, really no sport like it. There's no other sport. You are truly and completely, when you go out there, you're alone. You have no help. But in a sport like tennis, especially this year, having a good team behind you, a good group of kids, is extremely important for morale, for passion purposes, for wanting to show up to practice and wanting to go to the matches every day. It really is one of the most crucial parts. And to the seniors who are graduating with me that are on the team that aren't here tonight, Josh Marks, Caleb Weston, Ahmed Sami, Dove Kovac, those boys, I'm glad to have got the chance. I'm honored to have got the chance to play with them. Can't wait to see where they go and what they'll do, who they'll become. And to everyone else on the team, I've watched grow up and improve. Little Stanley Cornell, who is no longer little. He's maybe 3 inches taller than me now. I watched him grow up, and I watched him improve so much from where he started, and I can't help but feel like a little pride in that, a little like that is something that I helped with, and that's a great feeling. And now I work at my tennis club, Sport Time in Schenectady, and I'm a coach for all these aspiring future tennis stars, and it's the greatest honor that I could have, that I get to use what I've been instilled with, taken all the things that all of the people have instilled in me and put a little bit of that into all of these other kids. And so thank you so much for letting me speak. Thank you so much for letting me share my story. Thank you so much for all the opportunities I've been given, whether it be music or tennis or anything else. Thank you. I'm gonna make you guys proud. Thank you. I don't know. Is that important?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I leave high school this year. I graduate with everyone else. I walked the stage a few years ago, and I may be done playing tennis for this school district. I'm not done playing tennis. I'm going to be heading to SUNY Buffalo in the fall of 2024, where I hope to further pursue higher education and continue to play tennis. So, thank you. Oh, we have to do this again.
And that concludes tonight's district highlights.
I've attended far too many board meetings in my career than I care to admit, and following the district update after Masami's heartfelt comments will be tough to do. So I make a motion to skip the rest of the update and move along with the meeting. But outstanding, just amazing when you hear students in their own voice tell their story of coming of age. I mean, that's what certainly I'll take away. So our district update, as we do, we share our vision, mission, and goals. And really the theme of tonight's district update is to let people know that it might be summertime, but there's a lot of activity happening in our school district. And just wanted to remind everyone of the different summer school programs and opportunities for students to stay engaged. And certainly I want to thank the board for their commitment to funding these programs, to making year-round educational opportunities available to students in the city school district. So we have a number of elementary programs, including our students who are joining us in September as kindergartners. We have a Jump Start program, so those students can learn some of the systems and routines, but certainly have an opportunity to get a little bit of ahead with our curriculum here in the city school district. We have programs for elementary students, middle school, and high school. Those programs run through August, and if you are a student participating in high school summer programs, those programs run until Regents exams in mid-August. We have extended school year programs. These are students whose individual education plan calls for additional instruction into the summer. Those programs run until August 16th. We have a newcomer academy at Albany International Academy. These are students who are new to our district but also our country, and we're helping them become acclimated. Those are for students who are kindergarten through 11th grade. We have arts programs. We have a STEM camp for our girls, and we have a sports academy at our middle school. So check out all of our activities right there at our website. We also are offering meals. A reminder, we're offering breakfast and lunch at the following schools. So if you are if you're 18 years of age or younger, you can show up to any one of our schools for breakfast and lunch to make sure students have 2 square meals a day, Monday through Friday. And we have a weekend summer meal program, and in fact volunteers from the school district and AFE work today, and you could go on our website and see some of their work, some of their pictures. So throughout the summer and into mid-August, our volunteers are going to provide over 420 meals to our families, and we'd like to thank AFE and all of our community partners, particularly our own Kathy Edmondson, for making this happen. It's certainly these efforts do not happen without a lot of coordination and a commitment to making sure that we can provide opportunities to make sure our students and their families are well fed throughout the summer weekends. Other activities happening in the district, maintenance and technology summer work. Our business office continues to implement position control and incident IQ. These are opportunities to streamline some of our systems and make sure we have accurate accounting of all of the activities in terms of personnel, but also to track and monitor maintenance tickets and opportunities to improve our facilities over the summer while some of our schools receive a break. But our technology department is very, very busy. Of all the departments, they are probably the busiest. They're cleaning out Chromebooks, they're adding new technology, we're improving our infrastructure, and lastly, but perhaps most importantly, we're training our staff on how to use instructional technology appropriately and making sure we receive our return on investment. So we have a number of opportunities for our staff over a 3-week period to receive professional development and making sure we're using instructional technology appropriately. This Saturday was going to be our annual Summer Celebration and Safety Day, but we had to make a decision this morning with all of our vendors and our volunteers, but truth be told, we made the decision because the tent people were coming. So we had to, we wanted to let them know that based on the pending weather forecast. And what we did is we implemented decision-making strategies and criteria we used during the school year for the summer program. So we are working with our community partners to identify when they're available, perhaps maybe later in August, as hopefully it cools down, or certainly in the fall, so we can invite our community to Arbor Hill and celebrate with all of our students and our community partners. So while for some it feels last minute, making weather-related decisions 2 days in advance feels like a blessing, but we had a short window to make a decision to make sure that all of our partners could plan accordingly. So our Summer Celebration and Safety Day will be rescheduled, and we'll communicate that when that happens. And that wraps up the update.
Thank you, Superintendent. Board colleagues, as is our usual practice, I ask you to prioritize your questions and ask your most important question first. We'll start with one question for each board member so that all members have the opportunity to be heard. If you have more questions, we can go second round. So keeping with our formal process, let's start with Mr. Elminyavi. Do you have any questions?
I do not have any questions, thank you.
Okay, we'll start on the other end of the table with Ms. Mann.
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Wilson? Okay. Ms. Krejci?
I do.
Oh, you do. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. So my question is on the slide that had the summer meals program. Just a question about, again, thank you for everyone that goes in, everything that goes into making this program work. And I'm curious, is there a component of the program where, because we have like a density of nonprofit and community organizations in Albany, that in addition to like picking up the meal, you could also pick up resources? Like it could be as simple as like a table with pamphlets or things. Is there any like thought to do that, or can we do that?
Yeah, we can certainly talk to Kathy about that, sort of make it a one-stop shop. But Ron, you may have some more information with your history with this program.
That is definitely a concept we can look into. It's not families do not come to Pine Hills Elementary to school to pick up the food. School staff come to Pine Hills Elementary food to pick up the bags and then distribute it to the families. But there's an opportunity there for us to look at ways that we can get information into the bags that are going home to our families. The things that are important for them to know during the summer. That's a good suggestion. We'll talk with Kathy about that.
Ms. Krejci?
No questions, thanks.
Ms. Smith?
Thank you. I did have one around maintenance, and I just wanted to acknowledge that we have occasionally over the summer, including like just this week, some phone messages, emails, et cetera, from parents who've said, hey, the temperature's too high in this school, my kid's texting me or writing to me about various things. And so we know, we get those messages, but we don't always know, and we feel confident it's being taken care of, but we don't always know how. And so could you just talk a little bit about what parents should do if there is a concern, and where it should really start? Do they start with the school and say to the principal, hey, my kid is texting me, do you know that it's too hot for them, et cetera? Just some guidance so that our public can know the next steps.
So parents can definitely reach out to the principal of the building, and if they need further help, they could call me. My number is 518-475-6022. But we look to make sure that all our systems do run in place and that we try to provide the best atmosphere and environment for our students. So if I'm not aware of a situation, we do take care of it pretty quickly. So this one that just passed, it was kind of concurrent. So as soon as I found out and as soon as maintenance found out, our maintenance department, Kathy, called BPI. I called Day at the same time, and the situation was fixed within 15 to 20 minutes. It's, as long as we know, we can fix it. But if anybody has a question, they can call me direct.
And maybe you all do this on occasion, and sometimes the school year, it's a different way in which we go about things, but is there any way of letting parents know that, or is there a need to let them know that? I don't know how many, sort of complaints perhaps in that instance came in, but I want to make sure that parents see that we're working on it. By the time sometimes it gets to the board, it's a couple hours later before we know about it, and they're already agitated. So I'm just trying to support parents and community in getting their word to the right people in a timely manner, and for them to know that it's being worked on in a timely manner.
I assumed a different communications question when I got up to come up here. So I'm going to answer the question I came up here to answer, which wasn't your question, but then we'll talk about that. A reminder for families, every year in the district calendar, we send home the communications guide, the communication flow chart, which gives families, everyone in our community, that exact chain of command. In this case, it would have been the building administrator first, then the maintenance department. That's also, that communication guide is also in the communication section of the website under department. So that we do try to get that information to our families about the steps that they can take if they have questions or concerns in any area in the department. I think the specific question you were asking was about this specific case and how we would notify families in that case. And typically if, and as I understand it, this was resolved very quickly in the morning on the day that it occurred. So we did not send out a communication. But obviously, we've had HVAC problems in recent months and earlier in the last school year, and we have communicated with our families through a variety of mechanisms with that information.
Ms. Savage?
I'm just going to ask a quick follow-up about that situation, which is, were you alerted to the problem by staff, or was the initial alert that you got from the communication that came through the board by the parents?
No, so maintenance was notified through Incident IQ. I was notified by the principal.
I understand.
So it was like at the same time.
Got it.
Great.
I understand. Because really, that's really my bigger picture question is, do our folks that work for us feel empowered to raise these concerns immediately so that we get to them sooner? That's the question. But it sounds like they did feel empowered and did take that action by putting the incident in Incident IQ in a timely way. Okay, that's great. And then my only other thing that I wanted to mention, which is just more of a comment than a question, which is to thank all of the people that are listed on this slide for all of the incredibly hard work that happens over the very short summer. I know when I was a kid in New York State, summer was 3 months long. I know it was 3 months long, but in fact, it's really 2 months long, right? It's really just July and August with maybe a little bit of June and maybe a little September, but in my mind, it should be 3 months. But the amount of work that happens in those 2 short months is really incredible and a real testament to the people behind the curtain back there and elsewhere in the district that work so hard over the summer and don't always get the recognition outside the school year. So thank you.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. So the ticket tracking system that you implemented last semester is working. Good, good. Okay, go ahead.
Incident IQ, is it a public-facing? No, because I'm just curious if there's a way for people to sort of be clued in on the process. Like the thing that comes to mind is like the Domino's pizza tracker that, you've submitted an incident, or you've brought this issue to our attention, and it's like in progress, but that was just a question. Thank you.
I just want to chime in that's a point we've talked about and we've made, and the Domino's Pizza Tracker is a very fun model, but the less fun but also parallel model is the city's See-Click Fix approach, right? And I would really love to see the district investigate what level of staffing we would need in order to provide a public-facing tool, because we can't be everywhere at all times, and students, parents know things that need to get into our information, and having a tool that's a public-facing tool like a See-Click Fix would really, I think, allow us to be aware of things that we're not otherwise aware of. But it would require a considerable commitment of staff time to manage, and I think the City of Albany would be an excellent resource to figure out what it really took for them to take that. That didn't exist 10 years ago, right? I think And so they know what it took to get that from being, you know, an idea to being something that actually works most of the time.
Are there any other questions?
My final question is more of a wish or like an intention I'd love to set, is that I love the fact that Hall of Fame coincides with homecoming. I think it's a beautiful synergy of the past and present future. And I'm just curious if there's ways that we could make that more of a community invested exercise or experience, and any ways that we can explore, like, you know, allowing locally owned businesses to partake, or inviting back past alumni. I know many years ago it was raised with me, like, what is our process for reunions, and could we have like things along that line? So I'm just putting, it's not a new initiative, it's an idea, but in any way I could support, you know, with either connecting people or making that happen. It's just been a long sought out dream ever since I've joined the board and been a part of homecoming, even when it wasn't the Hall of Fame ceremony. So that was it.
Mr. Lesko.
I should not have left here after district highlights.
Yeah.
We did have the conversation after the selection committee met recently. I can't tell you who they are because we haven't notified all of them yet, but we've identified a 6-member class for induction this year. 2 members from the class of 1953, 2002 and 2005, 1972 from Philip Schuyler High School, and I feel like I'm forgetting someone, and I can't think what the other class year would have been. In any event, yes, and that's, as you know, that was a conversation we had after the selection committee process last year, and we just did not get to it. We had Mark and Leslie and I had the conversation again after the selection committee meeting this year, and there is a goal of making it a more robust celebration, and we're hopeful with our new athletic directors starting on Monday and coming to us from Schenectady, where they do have a much more robust Hall of Fame process that involves more of their community, that she can give us some helpful guidance in that area. So we will be having that conversation with her. But yes, we would love to make it an even bigger event than it is currently. I think my personal opinion is it's found a good home at the high school as part of the day's homecoming activities. And I actually earlier in the meeting tonight exchanged email with a member of the class of 2004. They're planning their 20th reunion, and she wanted to know when homecoming was. So hopefully they'll plan their activities for that day at least, or the afternoon, in conjunction with Hall of Fame and homecoming. Serendipitous, not planned, but exactly the kind of thing that I think you're alluding to.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. This is the time we set aside to hear from members of the public. While there are no other public comments today, we do invite members of the public to share their thoughts on decisions we are facing. We accept public comment in person, also by voicemail, and through our web-based form. Information about public comment and contact information is on the district website at albanyschools.org/BOE. Okay. We now move on to the part of meeting we call routine consent. During this portion of the meeting, we approve routine matters for the district. These include items like contracts, field trips, personal matters, and like. Each board member reviews them, each item carefully, but we vote on them as a group with no discussion. That allows us to use our meeting time more efficiently. Nonetheless, each board member has the option to set aside any routine consent item in order to require a separate discussion or vote on that item. With that introduction, I now entertain a motion to adopt the routine consent agenda. Ms. Savage, second by Ms. Smith. Any set-asides? Ms. Savage.
I have 2 set-asides. There's actually more than 2, but I think they can easily be taken as a group. My first one is very specific. I want to set aside 2 specific items on the HR agenda, which is item number 1. I want to set aside classified 1A created and abolished on the agenda, and the same exact number, classified 1A, create and abolish on the addendum. No other parts of the routine of the HR agenda. And then my second set aside is items 15 through 19, the transportation contracts.
Anyone else?
Oh, did I miscount? I'm sorry, thank you. Mr. Lesko is signaling me from the back. They didn't hang together with, so let's add in, so items 15 through 19 plus 23 and 24. So I hit all the transportation contracts. I didn't realize they were out of sequence. Thank you, Mr. Lesko.
So all in favor of adopting routine consent agenda except item 1 in HR classification 1A, the points that were mentioned by Ms. Ann, and items 15 through 19, 23, and 24 related to transportation. Ms. Krejci, second by Mr. Almanyavi. All in favor? Okay, that passes. Do you want to take those items one by one? Go for it.
So shall I make the motion
Go
to
ahead.
start? I'd like to make a motion to adopt item 1A, agenda and addendum classified 1A, create and abolish. That's my motion. Do you want to hold for a second?
Second by Ms. Krejci. Discussion?
So I just wanted to call out that these two items are not actually human resources in the sense of hiring and selecting employees or dismissing employees or moving employees around or paying them differently. They are actually position control. I was so happy to see that on the slide, Mr. Karras, that we are really fully implementing position control now, which is something that's been on our long-term agenda for some time. But I would like to request that they not be on the HR portion of the agenda, because unlike HR decisions, which are just putting people into parking places, right? If you think of a job as a parking place, you're putting a person into a parking place. These are actually changing the parking places, and it has budgetary implications for our next year rollover budget, and so I think they should not be part of the HR agenda. I'm fully in support of these. I don't even know why we're doing them. I guess I would like to know, but I don't really care that much. They're very minor changes, but I just think they should not be on the HR agenda.
Okay. With that said, any further discussion? So, all in favor? That's unanimous. May I make a motion to adopt items 15 through 19, 23, and 24, all related to transportation? Mr. Almanyavi, second Ms. Krejci. Discussion?
So I just wanted to call out and thank the Transportation Department for the excellent and very clear memo about what was done and how it was done to get to this point, and also for the creative energy that went into getting the best possible service for our students. It would be very easy to just say, okay, we're just going to take this proposal from one particular vendor, but instead it was a very creative and thoughtful approach to building up our transportation capacity, and so I wanted to appreciate you and thank you for that work and the way you communicated it to us. I did want to clarify one small question of fact, which is I believe that the numbers that are in the memo are the total amount that we will pay this year, and then we would anticipate the roughly 80% reimbursement the following year. And I would propose that in the future, when you write these memos, or even maybe a little addendum to this memo, because the increase of, I think it's like $3.1 million, that's the total cost, of which roughly 80% will be reimbursed the following year. So while it is a significant increase, and it's 34% of whatever it was, either way, it's not as many dollars in terms of the net impact on the district's budget. And I think that's an important point that we keep in mind all the time. And I think that 80% is pretty close. Yeah? Yes, he's nodding-ish. So that was it. But I really appreciate the fact that you have worked out a situation that looks like we're going to be closer to our pre-pandemic capacity, which is tremendous. He said, Mr. Lesko says it's even more than that. I did not retain all the details from the memo, but if you'd like to speak to it, since I've set it aside, there's an opportunity for you guys to speak.
If I sit in Masami's chair, maybe some of that will rub off on me. Thank you. And it is, we do feel very, very good. Did I leave that one on? No. See, it's Masami. He made it work. I can't make it work. We do feel very, very good to be in the position that we are in, and Direct worked very, very hard to develop the multi-provider system that we're implementing this summer, and it's been a very good week so far for the first week of summer. Monday was the first day, and there were drivers learning new routes. We had 2 late buses on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, none today. So it's been a
Can I
tremendous.
just interrupt you? Did you say no late buses?
No late buses today. And
That is amazing.
none more than 15 minutes
Congratulations.
earlier in the week. It's been a good week, and we do believe we'll have 15 to 20 more buses on the road next school year than we have at any time since we came back from the pandemic. We had 91 routes before the pandemic. We'll probably operate something in the neighborhood of 95 this year. And First Student in particular, but all the vendors also have told us that they are excited about the possibility for even additional capacity as we move forward and look to implement additional transportation for child safety zones as we can do that. So there is finally some light on the horizon for transportation, and First Student is committed, and they've committed. They haven't done it yet, but they've committed to go back to where we were on athletic transportation, with at least 4 buses available for athletics every single day. So that's as noted in the memo. That's we probably spent $100,000 or in that range on coach buses to fill those gaps this year, and so we won't have those expenses next year either. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Obviously I wasn't here pre-pandemic. I know coming on after COVID has certainly been a heavy lift, if you will, from the transportation side of things. But I think for the first time since I've been here, we actually, kind of as Ron mentioned, are going in the right direction, and I look forward to bringing on the additional vendors and just everyone taking on a reasonable portion where we're not stretching ourselves too thin. I think we have a lot of things that we can implement this year that should certainly impact our on-time performance and ideally keep some of our community, I'm sure, off your guys' back as well in regards to transportation. So I definitely look forward to seeing what this year brings.
Yeah, I love the fact that you strategized and added the best capabilities from different vendors together, because each need for which they're catering is different, and they're best suited for that one. So, great job, thank you.
And it's an opportunity for the first time certainly since the start of the pandemic to get to some value added work in the transportation department. That is not a knock at all on Mr. Miles or any of his staff. They have worked really, really hard to serve our community really, really well, given the circumstances that we've had due to the driver shortage. That's affected school districts all across the country. But now that we're anticipating we won't have that pressure. I don't want to jinx us, but without that pressure, they'll really be able to get into more of the customer service aspects, working more closely with the vendors on some of their customer service aspects, and it's just an opportunity, to get our children to school on time more consistently, but B, to expand the ways that we do work in the transportation field. So it feels good to be where we are on July 11th. We'll see where we are on September 11th.
One quick question. Now we have multiple vendors. Will all of them still be using that tracking system? So regardless of which?
Yeah, so I actually had a couple conversations with some of the parents who currently are not, their routes are not implemented into our tracking system. We certainly will be having those for the start of the school year.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion?
Can I just ask one question which just occurred to me just now? How is this going to work in terms of digital tracking? Will every child be always with the same vendor? So whatever the parent's going to deal with whatever first student's thingy-mabobber is called, and then somebody else will deal with the Durham one? So there won't be a child, or are we going to have one universal one? How's that going?
There will be one tracking software that all vendors will be on the same page, so that way we don't have to worry about this parent going through this app or this parent going through another app. They'll all be through our Traversa system.
Any further discussion? Okay. May I have a motion to adopt? To accept? All in favor? Okay. That's unanimous. Thank you. That concludes our action items for the day. Do we have any board committee reports? Are there any board committee reports? Hearing none.
I'll just say that over the summer, we will be working on NYSBA resolutions. We did adopt just now NYSBA resolution in routine consent, and Dr. Tutor is still serving on the NYSBA resolutions committee. So they will meet over the summer, and we will get a package from the New York State School Boards Association with the all of the resolutions proposed by all the districts around the state, which will come to the resolutions committee first, and then after they've looked at it, will come back out to the membership, and we will have another opportunity to look at all of those.
Would you like to give a Cliff Notes version of the resolution we passed?
Yes, it's, the resolution that we passed on routine consent was to discourage the state from adding new holidays without giving us additional flexibility on the calendar. Because what's been happening recently is that new calendar requirements are being added, but the calendar does not become more elastic because the state also dictates the beginning and the end of the school year. So we're literally running out of days. And so while we are absolutely, and probably one of the most progressive districts in terms of trying to honor the holidays of our students, I don't think there's anyone else in upstate New York that's doing the Jewish high holidays plus the Eids at this point. There is a real push and pull on our ability to do that because there's just not enough days in the calendar. So that's what the resolution is.
Thank you. Any other business?
Sure, Dr. Trattori, this isn't quite a board committee report, but I just wanted to note that while we did pass in routine consent a board committee schedule, it does list the prior board committee members from the 23-24 school year, so those members may change, committee chairs may change, and potentially dates may change for some of those as membership changes. To let
Thank
the
you for
public know that.
bringing that.
Other business.
Ms. Matt, Ms. Wilson?
Thank you. I'm curious, are there other, because we're talking about NISBA, which I love and respect, and I respect the work we do with the resolutions and their conference, which is lovely. Are there other school board associations that we could be a part of? I know Ann did a lot of work to identify, and we have since had board members be a part of school board partners, whether nationally or what I really have in mind are like school districts, like us, what have similar.
So there, to my knowledge, there are a couple of conferences. The Conference of Great City Schools, for example, is a conference that happens that we have never taken advantage of. There is the Association of, American Association of School Boards. So there are some other options that we've never explored. One of the things that's in our policies is to have a board development effort. Board development, it could be a committee, it could be the officers, somebody really thinking hard about board development, and that is something that could really be a pertinent part of that, is like, maybe we don't send people to NISBA, but we send people to Great City Schools, or, you know, we commit to sending new board members, as we will sadly have a new board member, it looks like next year, to school board partners, you know, to their conference, which is called Our Collective Power, right? There's various options that we could take advantage of, but I do think it needs more research. This is just things that I've sort of learned by osmosis, not any dedicated research.
Absolutely, and also from a board PD standpoint, but also like building that bench, we want people to be on board and have some place to absorb all this information.
Ms. Smith?
Yeah, I like the question. I think the other thing is, while we, for instance, have participated in both NISBA, which is really the one, primary one, you know, we are school board partner members, but I don't think that we have utilized them in the way that we could. And so and I think the Great City Schools is another good one. The question for me is, what then are we bringing back? What are we committed to doing? I don't want to just add, my preference for me is wouldn't want to add something else just to say, well, we've done it. Rather, what's going to be the purpose and strategies that we will bring back home to utilize in our governance work?
Absolutely, and as we discuss this more, you know, not all of us need to go to any one or two meetings. We could go to different ones, just specifically tailored towards agendas that we want to implement in our district. And as you mentioned, you know, bring those ideas back and think about it collectively. So, more to follow. Any other business? Okay, hearing none.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I got up when you were talking maybe committees. We will have a facilities committee meeting next Tuesday. It was originally on the schedule for Wednesday. We clarified that. Thank you, Ms. Timmons. And so I think we're all set on that, but just wanted to point that out for folks. And then we will be expecting a presentation at one of the August meetings, I think late August, capital project update, so that you'll know exactly where we are. But we are well through our 5-year work, previous 5-year work, and our high school noms, all of that work. So we're making the great job. We're moving through it. Okay.
Thank you. And policy, I believe, meets next week, so the 17th. So, but as Ms. Krejci mentioned, there'll be changes in who's on what committee and things like that.
So I probably could have and should have directed Ms. Timmons to leave off the names, but I mean, as of today, those are still the committees. It was really more important for us to have the dates down, and I do expect, and we did make one change in facilities, but we do know that there's still some perhaps audit committee dates that will be added, is my understanding. But this is normally the time where we approve those calendars, so I just wanted to make sure those dates were there. Okay.
Yeah, no harm done. I mean, those are still the dates.
Okay.
I'm just saying compositions might change.
Right,
And we may
of
add or
course.
sort of move dates,
Of course.
depending on who's on the committee. So, thank you.
Okay.
So, may I have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Savage, Mr. Alminyavi, all in favor? Right. Thank you, everybody. Good night.